Hello, I'm HQ of HQ Reacts. If you find yourself here and you're not subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe. If you find me on other social media platforms, please follow me, like, share, and subscribe. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. So, you can catch me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Hello all, hello all, hello all. It's lovely afternoon. We had a lot of information today. We had a lot of people say wild things today. President came out and said something about a healthcare plan. Let's listen. What's going on, y'all? What's going on?
Thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the
Oh shit. Oh, oh, shit. Oh, what's going
which
on?
we have for decades, we will now be paying.
Come on now. We don't have that many windows open. Come on now. We don't have that many windows open. I am so sorry. My stuff just collapsed.
The lowest cost paid by any other nation. So
Okay, we're gonna have that.
any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay.
Everything is going bananas.
And the American people will get the savings. So I have to.
Why can't we get this to go like it's supposed to go? What's going on? It's my fault. My bad, guys. I got 1,000 things in the background. Hold on. My bad. It's all me. Come on. Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll figure this out later. It's my bad. My bad.
And for the most part, they didn't even try because they
Mm. And I don't know how to get it to do what it's supposed to do.
felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay. And the American people will get the savings. So I have to reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700% as you paid more money for health care every single year, more and more. The premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the cost. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any because it's a hated program. It's unaffordable, but it's going to cut them by an average of 10 to 15%. Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
This is wild, you all. I cannot believe we have gotten to the point where we let this person or let the Republican Party talk us out of insurance. This is you being talked out of insurance. Give the money to healthcare savings plan. This is talking you out of insurance. This is making sure that you don't get insurance. This is wild. The plan includes putting U.S. drug prices to international levels and making more drugs available over the counter, which could reduce out-of-pocket costs for Americans. It could do that. Insurance companies and providers will be required to publicly disclose pricing margins and all claim denials and all that kind of stuff, giving consumers more information to shop. Okay. Put funds directly in the consumer's hands instead of sending subsidies to insurance companies. The plan deposit money into healthcare savings accounts so they can choose how to spend it. So basically what he's saying is, I'm going to give you $50 a month to pay for insurance. When we already know most of us who work, we paying $300 to $400 or $500 a month for insurance. He want to eliminate kickbacks. less reliance on big insurance based on administration's framing. Okay, official claims that removing corporate subsidies could reduce administrative costs and overhead. Okay, fine and dandy. But here's the thing, those are positive things. The negative things is this ain't, they gonna have to vote on this. They just passed the ACA. They just passed the ACA, right? I don't know whether they passed it in the Senate or they did not yet. I don't know. So they ain't gonna let this great plan of his go nowhere. It ain't going nowhere because Republicans don't want to give no health insurance plan put together. The plan don't have no outline, no complete idea, the estimates for insurance off the bat. Some of us are paying $300-$400 a month already. It's gonna replace the ACA. Deposits in a health savings account may not cover the real costs. So what are we gonna do about prescriptions? This is wild. True cost of insurance or Medicare for a lot of people, especially low-income families with chronic health care needs. You got a problem then. It will increase the premiums and the out-of-pocket costs. We got prescriptions. We got when we go to the doctor, they I don't know about nobody else, but I went to the doctor for something on my back, and the doctor, when I got to the office, a specialist, they told me $240. So who pays those expenses? We don't even get a relief from those expenses. It does not restore COVID air subsidies, which basically mean you coming out your pocket for real. See, it'd be a different story if you told us that you were going to put $2,000 into an HCS for us every month. Every person get $1,000. That'd be a different story. But if you ain't getting no $1,000 every month to help cover any kind of cost that you might, coverage gap is going to be a mother. We still going to be paying out of pocket. And for all intents and purposes, the Republican people ain't going to go for this because they just signed the ACA. They ain't even trying to hear all of that. So this is a non-starter. This guy is desperate. He is desperate for the midterms. You're going to lose the midterms. You might as well face it. You're going to lose the midterms because all of the policies that you have put forward, he has put forward, the American people are rejecting. I told y'all that the bulk of Americans did not vote for Donald Trump. It was a small fraction of Americans that voted for Donald Trump. Okay? They are doing all of these things because they know, the Republicans know, they're going to lose the midterms really badly. Really badly. Okay? Really badly. Because you introduced things that nobody wanted. You introduced a lot of things this year that nobody wanted, and many things nobody anticipated. Nobody anticipated you dragging people out of their house, dragging people down the street, dragging pregnant people into cars, into paddy wagons. Nobody anticipated that. Nobody wanted that. Okay? Nobody told you to gut the government. Nobody said you were going to do that. Nobody said you were going to fire all those people. Nobody said you were going to go after Jerome Powell and Comey and nobody thought you were going to invade wars, invade countries, start wars, shoot at Iran, follow behind Israel. Nobody. And that's the problem. It was like one or two, three. We thought you were going to do one or two things. You did too many things this year. That's the problem. And the bulk of the American people did not vote for you. Because a lot of them stayed home and a lot of them didn't vote. Either stayed home or they didn't vote as Democrats or whatever. Or some people didn't feel like they should vote for the black woman. But any other normal everyday election, you never would have won. And so what they're trying to do is ram through as much garbage as people as they can. No, it's not bullshit. The bulk of the American people did not vote for this person. Okay? They did not vote for this person. And the people that did vote for him, the young people, the independent people, the people who were on the fence, they are standing there horrified at what has been revealed through this person's presidency. And that's why they're going to lose the midterms, because of this. And this administration is doing thing after thing after thing after thing, trying to gain traction and trying to get back its celebrity status with the people in the American electric. And it's not working because you've had negative after negative after negative. Okay? The Epstein files. Deportations are a horror show. You just shot a white girl. You just shot several white folks, dragging kids out of, stopping cancer treatments, blowing up the federal government, stealing money, Doge, not making promises. You've done a million things that nobody liked. I do. Y'all sound crazy, but that's okay. That's okay. The proof is in the polls. The proof is in the polls. This is why this is a non-starter, what he's doing. That's why you have the Republicans one-on-one, one after the other, breaking with the president because they're horrified. A lot of us are horrified, but it is what it is. Horrified, but a lot of us are horrified. It's sad, but true. Today we got to talking, or what we got into the press room, and the girl, what's her name? Secretary Caroline Levitt. She embarrassed us yet again. She embarrassed Americans on the national stage yet again. I don't understand why she don't think that this is embarrassing and that the world is not listening to her. Is not listening that she's representing the president with the things she says.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist. And it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist. Kelly.
That shit is wild. I don't care what anybody says. That is wild. The press secretary's job is to communicate official government positions clearly. Answer the journalist questions about policy clearly. Provide factual information to the public clearly. Factual information. And respect the role of the press in a democracy. Those are 4 things that that press secretary is supposed to do. Okay, they are not elected, but they're supposed to represent the administration. Okay, the press in turn represents the public by asking questions. Some of those questions are tough, some of those questions are embarrassing, but they have to be critical, and it's all about who's in power. Okay, when a secretary like her labels reporters as fake or not journalists, calls them names in public settings, frames questions as personal attacks like she does, or dismisses the journalist based on politics, that crosses the line from being a professional communicator for the White House to a political attack. This is This is a problem. Journalists serve the public, not the government. Reporters hold power accountable. She is supposed to be held accountable. Calling them fake or not real undermines the role, and it stifles true journalism. The press is protected by the First Amendment for this particular reason. And open, respectful press interactions help our democracy function. So her disparaging reporters from the podium, or it sets the tone that discourages tough questions from the reporters. I like to have free report. I like to have tough questions asked to these people. The public has a right to know. The public has a right to answer or have answers to tough questions. Okay. And the government shouldn't try to make it seem as though a person asking a question is illegitimate. Because when officials call journalists illegitimate, it signals to the public that they're illegitimate. We got goofies in the chat right now saying, she's right though. She's supposed to be talking like that. No, she's not. She's supposed to be representing the White House. She's supposed to be answering questions regardless of whether they're insincere, whether she doesn't like them, whether she doesn't X, Y, and Z. She doesn't do our media. She answers the questions for our media. She's not our media. That's what y'all don't get. She is not our media. She is the person who communicates what is going on in the White House. And the people that are sitting down in those chairs are our people who are supposed to be asking questions. Okay. That's wild that she gets to attack reporters. This is how trust in reporters gets eroded. Every time this woman gets in front of a podium, she says something about you're fake, you're not real journalist, the Democratic left, terrorist, X, Y, and Z. Those are words that should never leave her mouth if she's supposed to be representing our White House. That's why so many people are stunned every time she talks, because she openly attacks reporters instead of just answering the goddamn questions. Okay. Ain't no way she's supposed to be confrontational, but cordial. Okay. This undermines the free press, signals an intolerance for scrutiny or criticism. That's crazy as hell. That's crazy as hell. But then again, we this is the world we live in, and the minority is running the White House. So that's the problem. It's a disgusting display. It's a disgusting display. And we get embarrassed every time she opens her mouth. A press secretary attacking reporters, openly calling them fake or worse, is not only rude, it affects how democracy works. Journalists are meant to inform the public and answer hard questions. When people delegitimize the role of a reporter, a lot of Americans see it as a threat to transparency. That's what it is. You want to put out a narrative. You're not supposed to put out a narrative. You're supposed to put out the truth, the facts. This White House wants to put out a narrative. Oh, the sky ain't blue. The sky is purple, y'all. Yeah. Hey, reporter. I'll take your question. Reporter, the sky has always been blue. We know the sky is blue. Why do you keep calling it purple? Caroline Levitt. Well, you need to shut your ass up. You ain't even no real reporter. You shouldn't even be asking no question. You shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. That's how she sounds. That's how she sounds. And it's embarrassing for her to even be representing Americans. She's representing Americans. It's embarrassing. That's crazy. I heard that this morning and I was like, ain't this, no. Hexy, nah. Hexy, nah. Listen to this. I can't wait till this is over. I cannot wait till we have a government in the White House that represents everybody and represents the true will of the American people. I cannot wait. Because this right here is a joke. That right there is a joke that we're looking at. That's crazy.
Was this merely incompetence? If so, what can be done to better equip our FBI? The Ray FBI's failure to act on the evidence in their possession demands thorough examination. Additionally, there are still critical...
Let's be clear. Trump won, not the bulk of the American people. You guys need to do your math. Please do your math. Stop talking because you haven't done your math, okay? The bulk of the people did not vote for Donald Trump. And the people who did vote for Donald Trump are running away from him in truckload. All of the people, minority people, Hispanic people, all of them are gone. All of the independent people are gone. Anybody who thought anything, maybe he had something going on, are gone. All of those people are gone. That's why we keep winning the elections that we keep winning, the bulk of the elections. That's why it's always a blue wave that you've seen for the past couple months, because all of those policies are being rejected. That's wild. And his what is it? His polling is in the high 30s. And he's the only president that has ever had 30s polling. That's how bad he's doing. That's how bad he's doing. On top of the Epstein files, then you have them shooting white women. That's wild. That's wild. Hispanics ain't messing with Trump. Independents ain't messing with Trump. People who don't want to deal with this Minnesota thing ain't messing with Trump. They're going away from that Republican Party in the landslide. I already told you the Republican Party has no policies that benefit poor people or regular, everyday, average American people. They don't have any policies that do anything for you. You're just voting Republican because your mama and daddy told you to vote Republican. If you do that, because they have no policies that help the average everyday American person.
Details regarding this case that must be understood. First, what was the pipe bomb suspect doing on the phone during the course of planting the devices? Does this activity implicate any other suspects? Second, on January of 2025, my team issued a report that discussed the FBI's investigation into a computer search conducted after the pipe bombs were planted, but before they were discovered, a search that read Pipe Bombs DC.
Tom, I hate to break it to you, but we are the laughing stock of this world. We are the laughing stock of this world already because of this president. I hate to break it to you. I'm sorry that you live in the MAGA bubble. I'm sorry that you don't get the news outside of that MAGA bubble, but we are the laughing stock. You all know that the other countries, about 4 of them, right, have sent troops over to Greenland to stop Trump from invading Greenland, right? You do know those are NATO troops. Those are people from the NATO coalition. You do know that, right? Why y'all don't understand how unpopular this president and his policies are? I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand. It's like y'all live in a bubble. It's like you live in a bubble and y'all don't even get the real reality of what's going on outside of that. Okay? We don't fund 2/3 of NATO. Stop it. We don't. So the whole point is those are NATO troops that are going over there, and we're in the middle of it. Nobody asked for any of this. I don't understand the bubble, y'all. I don't understand the bubble that y'all live in. I don't understand it.
Was this Cole? If so, this is another key piece of evidence tied to Cole that was overlooked. If not, is the person who conducted that search tied to Cole? Additionally, the FBI operational updates note 2 eyewitnesses who described the gray hoodie suspect as a white male. Did this influence the FBI's investigation? Today, we hope our witnesses will shed light on the FBI investigative protocol to help us begin unravel what went so wrong with FBI's management of this case. I now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Raskin, for an opening statement.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to our witnesses for joining us. I'd like to begin by offering appreciation to the men and women of the FBI who apprehended the January 6th pipe bomb suspect. This has been a rare bright spot for federal law enforcement over the last year. I also want to thank the Capitol officers who defended us with such valor and such courage on January 6th, who defended the members of the House and the Senate, our staffs, and everyone else who was caught up in the siege against the Capitol in the attempt to overthrow the 2020 presidential election. Those officers continue to defend us and continue to endure the abuse of the January 6th insurrectionists. Check out this video from what just happened last week on January 6th.
No, you don't. Like an animal. Like a diseased animal. You diseased animal. How dare you do that to a defenseless woman?
You're a fucking loser. You beat women. You beat women in the face with a baton 30 times, and now you got to protect us, Officer Bagshot. Look at that. Pardoned by Donald Trump. They made you look like a jackass, didn't you? Look at that. You fucking retard. Yeah, idiot. You can't say retard. Woman. Oh, sorry. Faggot.
So the abuse of our officers continues, just as the plaque, which was passed overwhelmingly by Congress to be installed in the Capitol complex, has still not been put up by Speaker Johnson. Now, of course, the prosecution of Brian Cole, the pipe bomb suspect, remains ongoing. The full facts of the case have not yet emerged, and under our criminal justice system, of course, he's presumed innocent until proven guilty, and so this hearing is at best premature. I hope certainly it does nothing to recklessly endanger the prosecution of Mr. Cole. But here's what we do know. We know that Brian Cole voted for Donald Trump twice. We know that in his own words, he was inspired and incited by Donald Trump's big lie, the pathetic lie that the 2020 election had been stolen. A lie that has been debunked and repudiated by more than 60 different federal and state court decisions across the land, and every court that's looked at it, and of course was rejected by the Congress of the United States as well. Mr. Cole told investigators he was in D.C. because he was going to protest in support of Donald Trump. He told the FBI that he believed the narrative that Trump had spread, and if the election was indeed tampered with, quote, someone needs to speak up, right? Well, like the thousands of Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, Mr. Cole did something more than just speak up. He set what the FBI concluded were viable explosive devices on Capitol Hill, mere feet away from where thousands of people live and work and drop their kids off at daycare. It is only due to the heroic actions of the Capitol Police and a watchful bystander that these devices were discovered and disarmed. Make no mistake, Mr. Cole's political goals appear to have been no different than those of the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and hundreds of top beaters and rioters who stormed the Capitol to foment violence on that day, to terrorize the police, but most of all, to stop the steal and overturn the election that was certified in the United States of America, with Joe Biden defeating Donald Trump by more than 7 million votes, 306 to 232 in the Electoral College. There are only two real differences between the pipe bomber and the rioters. First, unlike so many of the rioters, Mr. Cole was thankfully unsuccessful in his efforts to injure law enforcement and innocent people on that day. Second, unlike the other rioters, it's not yet been determined whether Mr. Cole actually got a pardon from Donald Trump. Trump granted a, quote, a full, complete, and unconditional pardon to all individuals convicted of offenses related to events that occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Mr. Cole is convicted. Would he be covered by this unprecedented corrupt pardon offered by Donald Trump, who incited the insurrection against the Union? Well, Mr. Cole's lawyer definitely seems to think so. President Trump and his DOJ have already attempted to legitimize violence against the police on that day. Is it their position that the pardon extends to Mr. Cole as someone who was involved in the events that occurred near the Capitol? Or is their position that it's okay to beat police officers with Confederate battle flags, Donald Trump flags, American flags, tase them, haze them, vilify them, demonize them, taunt them, trample them, kick them, and punch them, but they draw the line at planting an explosive device? I'd be very interested to know the answer to that. It's been obvious for quite some time the pipe bomber was motivated by the same lies and violent rhetoric as everybody else who followed Donald Trump's orders on that day. And to avoid that reality, Republicans have deployed conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory about the pipe bomber. Donald Trump falsely claimed the FBI knew who it was all along. Dan Bongino, the former podcaster turned former FBI deputy director, who recently quit for mysterious reasons, told us that this was a setup. He said it was an inside job. Just a few months ago, The Blaze wrote a ludicrous article pinning the pipe bombs on an innocent Capitol police officer on the basis of how she walked, which unsurprisingly was quickly exposed for the pure concoction it was. But that did not stop multiple Republican members of Congress, including, I'm afraid to say, you, Mr. Chairman, at least I'm told, although I haven't seen what you said directly, but certainly multiple members of Congress promoted the article and its authors in the false and dangerous idea that it was a former Capitol police officer who planted those bombs, an idea that continues to fester in the deepest and darkest corners of the extremist internet.
And see, I played that right there just for context. We're having the same type of environment building in Minnesota. The same type of environment where we're getting lies told to us. We're getting lied to. The president and his whole crew is starting to lie to the American public, trying to make us believe we didn't see our lying eyes. The whole world saw those people trying to crawl up the wall into the Capitol. The whole world saw that. The whole world has seen the ICE agent shoot that woman in the face. The whole world. And yet and still we're having the same bullshit being forced into our mouth like we didn't see what we saw. Every time something happens catastrophically in this administration, this president and his minions lie about it. And we're supposed to take it down the throat. Just take it full throttle. We ain't taking this shit anymore. We're not taking this shit anymore. Look at what he wrote today. Was it today? I can't even think. If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act. which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that's taking place in that once great state. Listen to the rhetoric. He says, I'm going to put the Insurrection Act into account. This is a clear example. If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota, okay, Minnesota officials, whoever, Walls, the state governor and the other leaders are being accused, they're being accused of failing to control those protests and unrest tied to immigration, customs, and enforcement operations. He claims these are professional agitators. Yes, this is propaganda. And insurrectionists using those terms to describe protesters or people who oppose ICE, and that those people are attacking federal agents. He said the Minnesota leaders ain't stopping what's going on. So he want to be able to pull the Insurrection Act out on their ass. A very rare federal law that gives the president power to deploy U.S. military domestically. We told you this is the shit that was going to happen when he first suggested it. We said it ain't going to end correctly. See, what he thought was, he thought us black folk were going to get out in the street and he was going to be able to pull that insurrection shit. He thought we were going to get into the street. Black folk. Yeah, y'all see them black folk in the street. I got to call the Insurrection Act. I got to save y'all white folk from them black folk. I got to pull that Insurrection Act out of my ass so I can save all y'all white folk. And didn't nobody have a damn word to say about it when he said he was going to pull it. Oh, yeah. You need to control those Negroes in the neighborhood. Yeah, you need to control all those people in the neighborhood. They got out of pocket. Yeah, Donald Trump, let them people come to our neighborhood. And the minute we let them come to the neighborhood, they shoot a white woman. Innocent white woman. They shoot a white woman. Y'all done fucked up now. Now, you ain't got no allies over there. So the overall message is state officials ain't controlling y'all. Therefore, the federal military power should be used to restore order. I wonder what the Supreme Court can say about that. See, this Insurrection Act is a law from 1807. It lets the president use federal troops inside the United States during certain types of unrest. Why don't you go and call it insurrection? Why don't you go and call it right now? Why you ain't called it before now, Donald Trump? Why you ain't did it now? It's been used in the past to enforce civil rights laws. When little girls wanted to go to school, the little nigger girls that wanted to go to school, and the white folks didn't want them to go to school, it was pulled in. Invoking it would mean the president could deploy the military and have them beat up and kill American citizens. Okay? You keep labeling protesters as insurrectionists. That statement uses strong words like insurrectionists to describe these people who are protesting ISIS operations. Of course, I get that. After you shot an innocent American girl, and instead of pulling back on their activities, the president doubled down because he sent more people. And everybody is angry over that. Everybody. Welcome to my world, white folks. We black folks been dealing with this shit getting killed in broad daylight and nobody saying a goddamn thing. Aubrey, Breonna Taylor. Nobody having a damn thing to say about it. This been happening for years for black folk. Now it's important because we got hit by a white woman. A white woman got broke off. So why don't you do your worst? Call for the insurrectionists. Call all them white folks insurrectionists. Do it. then hell is going to rain down in this country. Then hell is going to rain down in this country. Because you're framing the Minnesota elected officials as corrupt, and nobody said anything about those people being corrupt. Nobody. Nobody said anything about the whole state of Minnesota being corrupt. Nobody said that. But I want you to call the Insurrection Act. I want to see what that do. I want to see what it's like when you use it against the white folks. We want to see how many of y'all support Donald Trump after he throw your little daughter down on the ground and lift her skirt up. Some ICE agent. I want to see what happens if people start getting kidnapped off the street. American people saying, "Oh, it ain't no big deal." She got released 4 or 5 times later on. She got released 4 or 5 hours later. It ain't no big deal. All the meanwhile, stuff doesn't happen to her in the custody of these goons. Okay. I want to see you pull the Insurrection Act out of your ass on these white folks. Okay. Because I want to see how far they want to go with it. Okay. How far you want to take this? Here's the thing. How far are American people waiting? How far are they going to let this president go? That's the question. So I like white people, Andrew. Your point is what? We like white people too. Colored, black, Negro, nigger, all those good things that you want to say. Snowflake. Boy. This political threat is very strong federal power. If he pulls this out of his ass, go ahead, pull it out your ass. Because if y'all notice, every time one of them gets on the camera, I'm going to say the Republican Party, because that's the bulk of the people that's getting on TV talking 2-point crazy. Every time they get on camera, they're using charged language that will invoke emotion, terrorist, insurrectionist, threat, mad, escalation, all of these things that get people charged up. All of these things that get people charged up. Okay. We could have did what we needed to do, but I'm sorry, Sid Life, but they elected Donald Trump when we told them not to elect Donald Trump. They elected him anyway. And we have had chaos after chaos after chaos after fight after country being blown up, X, Y, and Z. Every day. It's a new dilemma. Every day. Nobody wants a dilemma every day. But I guess we got it because they hired Donald Trump. Let's continue. That's what he put out. Is that today? Yeah, he put that out today. But check this out. These people ain't playing with y'all. These people ain't playing with Donald Trump. European troops arrive in Greenland as Macron calls emergency meeting. European troops have begun to arrive in Greenland as the geopolitical standoff over U.S. President Donald Trump's ambitions for the Arctic island continues. These people ain't playing. These people say, you better not bring your ass over there. You better not bring your ass over there. Them people arrive in Greenland for an emergency meeting because we we going to war with Greenland. Y'all need to stop this. Nobody asked for this. How the hell am I making this shit up and you see it on the screen? Goofy Noron. These are people, they said they ain't having it. They not having none of this that Donald Trump is saying. Y'all think he think it's a game. He think it's a game. You called for this. I don't understand what's going on. You called for war in Greenland. He said it ain't gonna be no war. They starting to debate this.
I look forward to the Senate considering these bills as well as the remaining 4 appropriations bills before the end of the month. Our goal, Mr. President, is to get all of these bills signed into law. No continuing resolutions that lock in previous priorities and don't reflect today's realities. No more disastrous government shutdowns that are totally unnecessary and so harmful. So again, I want to thank my colleagues for supporting final passage of this important package so that we can send it to the president for his signature. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
So it ain't gonna be a double. Hopefully, it's not gonna be a shutdown. Well, they did get the passage of the ACA across. Okay, so seeing as how they got the ACA across, we should be good because now the shitty ass bill that Donald Trump just introduced ain't no good. I meant to put this one on. Because it was an interesting debate. Well, it wasn't an interesting debate. It was an interesting what is it called? Interesting thing. House committee meeting. Okay, that they were having. Okay, can you give me link? Hold on a moment. To Washington committee. I had up yesterday. Okay. So we covered Caroline Levitt, who acted a fool in front of the yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay. Video link. Hold on, we're gonna do this. The video link, we covered Caroline Levitt, we covered that. This was what I wanted to. Hold on.
Wish
of remove requirements to report, present your passion and your act.
In the meantime, what they trying to do is they trying to ban the abortion pills. So now they starting to have hearings to ban the abortion pill or
present your passion
the pill
arms or she is in her mother's womb. And the science is clear. Life begins at conception, and abortion ends that life. Now,
They starting to have hearings about that.
we can't dehumanize the conversation, and we shouldn't normalize the ending of that life, not normalizing a procedure whose intent is to end a life. I want to highlight the March for Life next week in Washington, around the country. For decades, every January, thousands of Americans, very young and old, begin the new year by joining together to march and peacefully call attention to the sanctity and inherent value of every single life. And so for those of you who will march in the weeks ahead, thank you. We're here to represent your passion and your action to protect women and their unborn child. We'll hear testimony today about the dangers of mifepristone, the chemical abortion drug. Now, these drugs are not safe run-of-the-mill drugs. They're certainly not safe for the unborn child, but there can also be potential complications for the mother. And so here are the facts. One study showed that 9 in 10 women who take a chemical abortion drug describe their pain as moderate to severe, and half of women say the experience was worse than expected. Another study found that 1 in 10 women taking mifepristone experienced serious adverse events, including hemorrhaging, bleeding, sepsis, overwhelming infection, or just kind of infection but less overwhelming. These are not about statistics. It's about real women with real stories. We need to humanize this. A woman named Salome described feeling like her insides were being, quote, torn and sliced apart, and, quote, seeing blood all over my legs. Like many, Salome regretted her abortion, saying, quote, I saw the most heartbreaking thing that I've seen in my entire life. I saw my child. And it was at that moment that it sunk in properly that I really have been pregnant. I've been carrying the life that I created inside of me until that very moment. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was the most beautiful thing that I'd ever created, and I destroyed it. Another woman named Shanice described the cramps as unbearable, saying that it, quote, felt like somebody stabbing me in my stomach. Shanice ended up going into sepsis because the abortion drugs left some of the unborn child's remains inside her. After 2 months hospitalization and a partial hysterectomy, she had to relearn to walk and perform normal everyday activities.
Now they having those kind of discussions now. But let me show you this. Now they're having those behind the scenes committee meetings. This is where we at today. We in an utter and complete chaos today. Listen to this. Today. Listen.
And there would be not just...
Donald Trump literally has...
We have a major development this morning. A Republican has confirmed that if Donald Trump were to move forward with military intervention to try to annex Greenland, there would be enough votes to impeach the president of the United States, that it would be the, quote, last straw for Republicans in the House of Representatives. The Republican is Don Bacon. He told the Omaha World Herald that Trump invading Greenland would be the last straw for many Republicans, and that there would be more than enough votes in the House of Representatives to impeach the president of the United States of America. Presumably, you would get all Democratic votes. That wouldn't be a question. You would only need a few Republican votes, and there would be not just enough, but more than enough to impeach the president. Now, Donald Trump is still moving forward with trying to annex Greenland. The meeting at the White House yesterday between Greenland leaders, Danish leaders, Vice President Vance didn't bear any fruit. Meanwhile, troops have arrived in Greenland, which I'll talk about shortly, from NATO allied countries. I'll provide you more updates as we get more information. Spread the word, and as always, follow along, stay up to date on all the news.
So basically, the president is going forward with this invasion with Greenland, and Greenland people say,
nothing close to the
and the Greenland people say, we ain't having it. And the people in the House of Representatives, our people that are representing us, said we're not trying to hear him invade Greenland. We're done with the wars. We are done with the wars. That's the problem. The president has went too far with his rhetoric. He has went too far with what he has been doing. This is why people are turning away in droves, because he's gone too far. Hold on.
This is nothing close to the professionalism we're used to.
And to call the victim of the shooting a domestic terrorist within hours of that shooting. Mr. Attorney General, I want to pick up what you're talking about there, this lack of cooperation between the federal government and the state of.
Yes, exactly. He said no wars, but he lied to the American people.
We have learned that
he lied to the American people.
ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. We go live to Alexis McAdams. She is live on the ground with the details.
So now we got second and third and fourth shootings. Second, third, and fourth shootings. But you notice that the president has not called that insurrection. He hasn't done that. Why hasn't he done that? Let's be clear. Us black folk ain't going out in the street. We ain't going out in the street. We already know what happens when you go out in the street. We already know we done seen enough hung people. We done seen enough people shot in the face. We done seen enough black people taken to jail. We done seen enough black people beat up. We ain't going out in the streets. This is a problem that white folks need to solve. Y'all want to get us out of this y'all want to get us out of this mess? It's going to take you white folks to do that. We're going to be standing on the porch. We're going to have our fist up. We're going to be cheering y'all on. When y'all need water, we're going to be on the corner to give y'all water. But we ain't going to be out there protesting. We not finna do that. We not finna put our brown bodies out there. It's time for you all and the rest of you minorities out there, Hispanic folks. I'm talking to you Hispanic folks. I'm talking to you Hispanic folks. It's time for y'all to step up and be accountable. Y'all's group is bigger than the black group, the Black Americans group. You Hispanics group is bigger than the Black Americans group. It's time for y'all to get on out there and put your body on the line. Us black folk already done put our body on the line. We ain't finna fool with y'all no more. We tried to save y'all. We tried to save all of us. That was the beauty of us voting in November last year, 2 years ago. That was the beauty of us black people voting. 92, I want to say 90, about 90, no, 92, around 85% of us voted not to have this president. 85% of us, black folk, said, nope, nope, nope. We don't want this president. We already know what's going to happen. He already said that he liked them good. He had good people on both sides. When we heard that phrase, us black folk, we was done. Okay. So this is a problem that white folk and Hispanic folk and Asian folk, y'all gonna have to solve this one. Because we tried to warn y'all. Okay. And this is what happened because y'all ain't standing your ground. This is what's happening.
We learned that there was an ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis. We go live to Alexis McAdams. She is live on the ground with the details.
This is not creating safety. It's certainly not creating safety when a huge percentage of the shootings that have taken place so far this year in Minneapolis have been by ICE. So let's be very clear. I've seen conduct from ICE that is disgusting and is intolerable. If it were your city, it would be unacceptable there too. And for anyone that is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. This
Let me know if I'm lying. Am I lying? If them were black folk out in the street, would we be sitting here? We wouldn't be sitting here. Most of us would be in jail or on a slab. Tell me I'm lying. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. Okay. This is normally the use of force. The U.S. military forces. How you using the military forces against people? It's called the military forces are using it against the American everyday people. It's called the Posse Comitatus Act. Posse Comitatus. That's the law that prevents the military from acting like a police force in the United States. Posse Comitatus Act. The Insurrection Act is one narrow exception to them doing that. Historically used only when there's an actual insurrection or rebellion, but it's supposed to be rare and strictly justified. This president says,
let me see what my grandma doing. Let me see.
This has been a really...
The president says it might be necessary. The insurrection is a narrow exception to that rule, that Posse Comitatus Act. Threatening the use of federal troops against protesters, especially when state and local leaders object to it, blurs the line. Nobody wants to have militarized control of their citizens. This is how authoritarian regimes suppress people. Yes, you see this, Casey Pierce? When a lot of people like you, when a lot of goofy people like you start thinking like that, this is when we go down the road. This is when we go down the road of authoritarianism. Okay? This is the road to authoritarianism. If a president deploys troops inside a state without that state's consent, despite protests being largely civil, peaceful, local, it raises those constitutional questions about him overreaching by calling the Insurrection Act into play. The president shouldn't have unilateral thought to send somebody in to a state that nobody else wants him to send anybody in. It's scary to critics. It's scary to a lot of people. Okay? You sound goofy as hell. You sound goofy. Really, you sound really, really goofy. The authoritarian regimes historically centralized power, which is what Trump has been doing. He's been taking power from Congress, the Supreme Court. He's been violating the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 14th. He's been violating a whole bunch of the amendments. He's trying to centralize power. He's trying to make Jerome Powell come under his umbrella when he's not supposed to be there. A lot of these agencies are supposed to stay independent, not be dependent on what the president thinks. The FBI. I hope y'all don't think the DOJ, FBI, all of them are acting like they're supposed to be acting. They're not acting like they're supposed to be acting. Okay? Because now they have a script going. Every one of them, all those agencies seem to be spitting the same garbage, the same narrative. And that's not how that's supposed to work. Those agencies are supposed to be independent of each other. The Insurrection Act is one of the strongest emergency powers that a president can have. It lets the commander-in-chief use military force inside of the United States. Okay? He gets to decide what's insurrectionist. I see a whole bunch of people that's all on the street who've been on the street for the past couple of days. Why you ain't called the Insurrection Act? Why you ain't called it out of your back pocket now? Why ain't he called it out now? I ain't seen him try to call it out at all. What's going on? Courts and Congress have limited direct say in its actual use once it has been called. Okay. Once it's been called. There's no clear modern definition for this term, for this use. Discretionary power can be abused if left unchecked. This is wild. I wonder if he said it out loud. Did he say it out loud? Or did he just put it on social? He put it on True Social. He didn't say it out loud. He just put it on True Social.
Another shooting involving an immigration officer. The Department of Homeland Security says a federal agent shot a man in the leg after being attacked. That was followed by protesters shooting fireworks at officers. According to the DHS, a Venezuelan immigrant fled in his vehicle during a targeted traffic stop and then crashed into a parked car and fled on foot. During the arrest, 2 other people allegedly attacked the officer with a snow shovel and a broom. Minnesota officials are now calling for peace in the streets, while others are demanding ICE agents leave the city. President Trump.
Just in this morning, President Donald Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota on Thursday.
President Trump posting on Truth Social he'll impose the Insurrection Act in Minnesota if lawmakers are not able to quell protests in the state. Last night in Minneapolis, a demonstrator was shot by an ICE agent. The Department of Homeland.
I heard he was shot in the face.
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants to utilize it.
Y'all realize that we got people that are in power that are shitty human beings, right? We have people that are in power that are shitty human beings. Because this is the road to authoritarianism. This is the road. It's centralized power to a main figurehead, and it limits political freedoms. Fascism is a political ideology mostly born from the right. From the right. Not the left, from the right. Socialism comes from the left. Fascism comes from the right. We are heading into times where fascism seems to be normal to a lot of people. Okay. Using emergency powers to bypass civil liberties, targeting people who don't listen to what you say, who don't believe you, or don't want to deal with what you don't want to deal with how you want to run things. Centralized control over local and judicial checks. This is the road of authoritarianism. This is the road to fascism. Those 3 things. When you have those 3 things in play, it's going to be easy to slip into that. Using emergency powers to bypass liberties, targeting dissenting groups, centralizing power over locals. It's wild. This is often the early stages, and we are here. We are here. And I don't know whether Donald Trump knows this is what he's doing, but this is what he's doing. Threats against institutions. He's threatened news companies. He's threatened papers. He's threatened schools. He's threatened museums. Threats against institutions that hold government accountable. Civil rights organizations, nonprofits. He attempts to use emergency threats to override judicial decisions. Insurrection Act. Political use of national forces to manage or suppress protests without clear legal basis. Calling on ICE to quell dissent. These are all tenets of a authoritarian rule that's coming down the pike, or a fascist rule that's coming down the pike. These alone are not authoritarian themselves, but when repeated or people try to normalize these things, threats against institutions, attempts to threaten, attempts to use emergency powers to override judicial decisions, political use of national forces to manage or suppress people. President Trump has done all three of those things. Oh no, Casey Pierce. This president has all of those things. That Biden ain't never threatened nobody. Biden ain't never threatened nobody. Donald Trump has threatened to use institutions to hold gun. He has threatened institutions. He has threatened the news. He's threatened Powell. He's threatened the FBI. He's threatened other countries. He's threatened news organizations, comedians on TV. Attempt to use emotional emergency threats over people. The Insurrection Act. All of these things. This is Donald Trump. And thank God the bulk of the people have woken up and know that it needs to be stopped. If he goes into Greenland, I think that's the line. That is the line that the Republicans are going to, if he crosses that line, I think the Republicans are going to stop him. And this president is heading towards impeachment. Barreling towards impeachment, specifically if he invades Greenland. So he needs to think real easy and real careful about invading Greenland. Okay? Because this is the bottom line. As we said, when these things are repeated or normalized, they contribute to the shift from democratic, normalized power to a centralized, less constrained power. Deploying federal troops against protesters? That's wild. Broad powers without oversight? He keeps signing those EOs like they candy. These authoritarian moments have exploited crises to consolidate power. And this is exactly what President Trump is doing. The Republicans said, if he invades Greenland, we're going to get him the fuck up out of here. If he invades Greenland, we going to get him the fuck up out of there. And the people who are in NATO are going to Greenland right now. The Danes, the whoever, all those people are going to Greenland right now because they're not trying to hear Donald Trump. Okay? They're not trying to hear Donald Trump. Okay? But this is some scary stuff, and this is where we are at.
We have some serious news. We have some serious news this afternoon. In a new interview with Reuters, Donald Trump has been in his clearest form yet, saying that we should not have a midterm election. He was asked point blank about his prospects heading into the 2026 midterms, was upset and expressed frustration that Republicans may not do well and that the party of the president typically does not perform well in midterm elections. He said, quote, "It's some deep psychological thing. But when you win the presidency, you don't win the midterms. When you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election." This comes just 1 week after he went on stage in front of House Republicans and joked about abolishing the 2026 midterm elections. Well, that joke on stage has now turned into a serious comment he boasted about in an interview with Reuters. We will see if this takes in another form. It's also unclear how he would even do something like that. But this is what the president is now openly talking about right now. And people need to know about it. So spread the word. And as always, follow along for all the news you need to know about. We have some serious news this afternoon in a new interview with Reuters.
My name is Shakira.
Hold on, look at these twins.
But it is what it is. So we got to deal with what this president has put out. We got to deal with what he said. But let me turn it back to the hearing, protecting women. And I just couldn't understand what was going on, why they got a hearing on that. But now they're trying to move and try to ban abortion pills.
So how do we get here? To the point where abortion pills can be ordered online, mailed, taken with no medical supervision, and we have no safeguards against coercion. It started when the Obama administration's FDA, pursuing an agenda, removed requirements to report non-fatal adverse events, effectively no longer monitoring the drug safety. Now, who could be opposed to making sure that adverse events are reported to the FDA? We make so much out of somebody getting a vaccine and having a sore arm that lasts for a day where they got the shot, but we're not reporting when someone has sepsis. Then the Biden administration removed the in-person dispensing requirement, which protected women having abortions from serious medical complications. It's only through a proper medical exam that a doctor can determine the baby's gestational age, ensure the woman does not have an ectopic pregnancy, and be sure the abortion will not jeopardize future. The first rule is do know a lot of potential to do a lot of harm. The in-person requirement, I feel passionate about. Again, prescribing a drug with potential complications with no in-person requirement. It means that a medical professional who's trained to spot abuse, to protect a woman from being coerced, can actually interview the patient and find out if she really willingly wishes to take this. And now, under the current situation, and we'll hear these stories today, can order the pill and coerce the pregnant woman into taking them. It's straight to their mailbox, no questions asked, and then that is wrong. We should all be concerned about that, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. Think of the women, the girls in abusive relationships being trafficked, whose voices being sidelined, bathroom. I'm a gastroenterologist, sometimes I go there in my thoughts. And as I looked at the sign on the door of the bathroom, it said, if you're being trafficked, tell the flight attendant or call this number. Now, tip of the hat to Southwest, and maybe the other airlines, I've just never noticed the sign before. They know that someone may be traveling to some place like a Super Bowl to get trafficked. And yet we make these appropriate efforts to protect the young person in this situation. But we don't require the inpatient interview in which a physician can ask the young person, wait a second, do you really want this or not? And if you don't, tell me about it. Wait, you're being trafficked? We're calling the police. Why do we have it on the inside of a bathroom on an airplane, but not as a requirement for something which is mailed? As chairman of the HELP Committee, I urge Secretary Kennedy and Commissioner McCarry to complete the safety review of mifepristone that they both promised us during their confirmation hearings. Republican members of this committee and many other senators expect an answer. At an absolute minimum, the previous in-person safeguards should be restored, and it should be done immediately. By the way, it's not just Republicans who say this. A recent poll that 71% of Americans, including 67% of those who identify as pro-choice, support requiring a visit for the chemical abortion drug to be prescribed. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill will share some real-life stories of women and girls coerced or drugged with the abortion pill. She's holding those violating our state's strong pro-life laws accountable and working to protect these women. Dr. Monique Wubenhorst will provide medical expertise and further insight into the dangers that abortion pills pose to these women. And she'll dispel the false narrative that treatment for miscarriage, stillbirth, and ectopic pregnancy is the same as an abortion. It's an honor to convene the HELP Committee for our first hearing of the year to discuss such an important topic. Women, families, and unborn children deserve nothing less. And with that, I recognize Ranking Member Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In a few minutes, I'm going to hand the mic over to Senator Patty Murray, who has been a national leader on this subject. But first, let me be as clear as I can be. This hearing is not about the safety and effectiveness of mifepristone. It is not about protecting the health and well-being of women. The overwhelming evidence from the scientific and medical community is clear and it is unambiguous. Mifepristone is safe, it is effective, and not only has it been proven to safely end the pregnancy, it has been used by women throughout this country and the world to effectively manage a miscarriage. That's not what Bernie Sanders' position is. That's what hundreds of clinical trials and studies in prominent medical journals have found for nearly 3 decades. That's what the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the largest organizations of OBGYNs in America, has found. That's not my view. It's not Patty Murray's view. That's their view. That's what the American Medical Association, representing over 270,000 doctors, have found. That's what the FDA has found for more than a quarter of a century after it approved mifepristone in the year 2000. Let's be clear about what this hearing is about. It's not the safety of a drug. It is about the ongoing effort of my friends in the Republican Party to deny the women of this country the basic right to control their own bodies. That is what this hearing is about. 4 years ago, 6 Supreme Court justices, all nominated by Republican presidents, decided to overturn Roe v. Wade, abolish the constitutional right for women to have an abortion, and give politicians in state governments all over this country the right to control a woman's body. Since this disastrous Supreme Court decision, 13 states have enacted a total abortion ban, and 28 states have restricted access to mifepristone. That is what this hearing is about. It's whether in the year 2026 we're going to fight to make sure that women have a right to control their bodies, or whether politicians take away those rights. Senator Murray?
Well, thank you very much, Chairman or Ranking Member Sanders, for letting me speak on an issue I care deeply about. The fact of the matter is medication abortion is safe and effective, and we have known that for a very long time. FDA had the data to show this when they first approved mifepristone 25 years ago, and its safety was reaffirmed when FDA approved a generic version of this last fall. We have a tremendous amount of data showing how safe this medication is. More than 160 high-quality studies have been conducted, and millions of women around the world use mifepristone safely every year, with fewer complications, by the way, than Viagra or penicillin. The fact of the matter is, mifepristone is one of the most studied medications we have. In fact, in October, a federal court ruled that FDA's current restrictions on mifepristone are illogical and unsupported by the evidence. The only reason mifepristone is regulated as heavily as it already is because of anti-abortion politics, not because of science. And now Republicans are holding this hearing to peddle debunked junk studies by anti-abortion organizations which have no credibility and have been forcefully condemned to act by actual medical organizations to justify reinstating more burdensome requirements and ultimately ripping medication abortion off the shelves entirely. We all know this hearing is not about the actual science or the facts, and it's certainly not about what is best for women's health. This hearing really is about the fact that Trump and his anti-abortion allies want to ban abortion nationwide, and medication abortion is the most common method of abortion in the U.S. Republicans are furious that despite their extreme abortion bans, some women are still finding ways to get the care that they need, and they want to put a stop to it, whatever it takes. Of course, the overwhelming majority of people in this country do not want medication abortion ripped away, and they do not want Republicans legislating their pregnancies. And I think most people are going to see right through the utter BS that is being staged here today. I also have to say I'm stunned that Republicans found time to hold this sham hearing when they have yet to have held any sort of hearing holding RFK Jr. to account for undermining access to safe and effective vaccines and letting deadly diseases like measles and whooping cough rip through our communities. Wasn't he supposed to be here quarterly? Wasn't he supposed to lead the vaccine schedule alone? And isn't this committee supposed to be conducting oversight? It seems that we will have a hearing on literally anything but that. I want to, Mr. Chair, ask unanimous consent to enter into the record 8 statements from leading organizations on the safety of mifepristone and a letter sent by every single Senate Democrat last fall pressing FDA for answers on this new so-called safety review of mifepristone. We have not yet received an answer to that letter.
Without objection. It's my pleasure now to introduce Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill. Attorney General Murrill has a distinguished career in public service and has been at the forefront of defending Louisiana's strong pro-life laws and protecting women and unborn children. She'll be testifying today about how the removal of the in-person dispensing requirement for mifepristone has led to horrific instances of coercion and health risks for women, and will walk us through the actions she is taking to hold those seeking to circumvent Louisiana's laws accountable. Attorney General Murrill, Louisiana is lucky to have you as our top law enforcement officer. I look forward to hearing your testimony, but before you begin, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from 17 state attorney generals in support of Attorney General Murrill's testimony and advocating against the use of SHIELD laws in connection with the chemical abortion drugs. Without objection, it's approved. Senator, Ms. Murrill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The United States Supreme Court returned the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. That landmark decision empowered Louisiana and every other state to decide how to address the issue of abortion. Louisiana made its overwhelmingly bipartisan decision and reaffirmed its long-standing policy to the right to life of every child, born and unborn. Louisiana's protections include a prohibition on abortion, quote, by means of an abortion-inducing drug, and it likewise prohibits aiding and abetting and facilitating in the procurement, distribution, or use of such drugs. That should have been the end of it. But the Biden administration and its pro-abortion partners had long been planning to circumvent Dobbs. After Dobbs, the Biden FDA promptly announced that it would remove the in-person dispensing requirement for abortion pills, thereby authorizing mifepristone to be shipped nationwide by mail. This was not a medically informed decision, but a purely political one. It was not even a legal one because federal law prohibits distribution by mail. President Biden recommitted to, quote, doing everything in his power to protect access to abortion. To that end, he issued multiple executive orders and, ignoring federal law, directed HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra to identify, quote, ways to ensure that mifepristone is as widely accessible as possible, including when prescribed through telehealth and sent by mail. This culminated in the FDA revising the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy, REMS protocols, in 2023 for mifepristone, removing data-driven restrictions that previously required in-person dispensing, which for health and safety reasons mandated mifepristone, this is a quote, be dispensed only in certain healthcare settings, specifically clinics, medical offices, and hospitals. Its elimination facilitated widespread dispensing of mifepristone through the mail. This is medically dangerous, unethical, and illegal in Louisiana and many states, as well as federal law. The Biden REMS revision worked as planned. Aid Access, perhaps most well-known among the illegal abortion pill distribution facilitators, unabashedly credits removal of the in-person dispensing for its ability to mail FDA-approved abortion drugs, quote, to people in all 50 states, even those that have banned it, unquote. To be clear, removing these protections under REMS did not and could not legalize distribution of these pills by mail. So the Biden administration's objectives, as directly stated by the president, were to facilitate illegal drug distribution. Indeed, abortions have tragically increased in Louisiana and other pro-life states since Dobbs because of the Biden administration's actions. Data from pro-abortion advocacy groups indicate 900 illegal abortions occurred per month in Louisiana in 2025. That trend coincides with national reported data. Behind these statistics is a woman or girl injured by this dangerous, illegal, and medically unsupervised distribution and use of abortion pills. A few examples from Louisiana include a woman who was coerced to abort her wanted baby, multiple elements of that by partners or parents, a pregnant woman who took pills that Margaret Carpenter from New York mailed to her at 20 weeks gestation and ended up in the emergency room while her baby was left in a dumpster. Another 20-week-old pregnancy, the baby was found recovered in a toilet. Activists have created an organized and dangerous scheme of drug dealing protected by politicians. These are not medical standards. There are no medical standards in any state that sanction such irresponsible actions by a medical professional. And political preferences do not justify placing women at such medical risk. These are not medical professionals, and this is not healthcare. Shield laws in some states protect providers from liability and effectively nullify laws in our states. Their purpose is to make it more difficult to sue or prosecute individuals in those states where abortion drugs are prohibited. They also make it more difficult for women coerced into abortion, taking abortion drugs, to bring their abusers to justice. The Biden FDA's removal of in-person dispensing requirements had its intended effect. But for the 2023 REMS, activists could not blanket our states like Louisiana with mifepristone by mail. The 2023 REMS must be vacated. Until then, Louisiana's efforts to protect mothers and their unborn children and to hold out-of-state abortion pill traffickers accountable for the harm they inflict will be all but futile. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before introducing Dr. Rubenhorst, who will get the award for the most interesting name this entire year, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record letters from the Louisiana Family Forum and Louisiana Right to Life. Both letters further underscore Attorney General Neuro's testimony about the harms that unfettered access to mail-order chemical abortion drugs cause women in our state. And I now turn to Senator Banks to introduce Dr. Rubenhorst.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Monique Wubenhorst, a practicing board-certified OB/GYN with more than 30 years of experience in patient care, teaching, research, health policy, and global health. Dr. Wubenhorst is a senior fellow with the De Nicola Center for Ethics and Culture at Notre Dame and an adjunct professor at the Indiana University School of Medicine. She also cares for patients at 2 Indiana hospitals. In her medical practice, Dr. Wubenhorst is focused on providing OB/GYN care to impoverished women at home and abroad. She has also authored over 20 peer-reviewed articles and has served on review boards for peer-reviewed medical journals. Dr. Wubenhorst, thank you for being here today, and I look forward to hearing your testimony on the dangers that chemical abortion pills pose to women, especially. It's great to have a Hoosier here who is such a staunch defender for the unborn and for women. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. I think it's really important, and I'm glad that you called this hearing. I appreciate your leadership. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Banks, and we're excited about Indiana football. Go Hoosiers. So abortion is a subject of intense interest. And good morning, good morning, Chairman Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders.
Doctor, can you pull the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth?
How's that?
Wonderful.
Ranking Member Sanders and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to be here. It is an honor. Abortion is a subject of intense interest, debate, and legislative action, and so we need to give grave consideration to its risks and purported benefits. Mifepristone misoprostol is now the predominant method of abortion, accounting for almost 60% of abortions in 2022. And we now have data to document and examine negative outcomes associated with the use of chemical abortion. We all know that the regimen includes both mifepristone and misoprostol, and this is associated with significant short and long-term physical and mental health harms to women.
These are documented by international studies as well as studies in the United States, including studies in the Scandinavian countries, which are not pro-life countries.
Yeah, that's sure. Yeah, I ain't never heard of no side effects either. But hey, you learn something new every day.
The different risks that are associated are bleeding, infection, hemorrhage, need for transfusion, and perforation. Now, while perforation is not a risk with chemical abortion alone, an estimated 6% or 1 in 17 women will require surgical intervention, and these women are exposed to both the risks of chemical and surgical abortion. In the UK, an estimated 10,000 women per year were treated in emergency rooms in 2022 and 23 for complications arising from an abortion. Another risk is undiagnosed ectopic pregnancy. There have recently been documented deaths from chemical abortion.
See, here's the thing. Everybody falls on a different line of the abortion debate. I'm pro-choice. I let people make their own choice. You make your choice. The whole point is to have the opportunity to make the choice. You or no lawmaker should be able to make the choice for me. If I decide that I want to do that, I should have the legal and safe mean in order to do it. Just because I should. If it's two people that if there's two people that are vying for not having an abortion or having an abortion, and we have a president, the president has to represent both of us. One of us wants to be able to have an abortion and one of us doesn't. In order to represent both of us, the option to have abortion has to be on the table. This is where I come down at. Somebody in Louisiana has to have the option to have an abortion, just like a person in New York has to have the option not to have an abortion. You cannot represent all of your constituents, or you cannot represent a diverse nation like United States and then ban abortion, because there's more people than a little that want to have abortion to be legal. So it should be legal with the option to have it. You have it if you wish, you don't have it if you don't wish. And you cannot rule by morality. The United States cannot be ruled by morality. All of us have different levels of morality. All of us have none or some or a lot. It is what it is. You cannot rule by, oh, I believe abortion is morally wrong. Good for you. I'm happy that you feel it's bad for you. But I also feel that there's people in this country that it's not bad for, and those people should be represented too. This is where I come down. Okay.
In general, including mifepristone, misoprostol is associated with serious psychological and social harms for women. A recent study in Canada by Dr. Auger and her colleagues found that it markedly increased the risk for inpatient psychiatric admission, the most severe diagnosed forms of mental health. It is also associated with sex trafficking, child sex abuse, and domestic violence. I'm aware of a case of a young girl who is age 16 who came in with severe sepsis to the emergency room.
I seem to be hearing that these people are trying to make they're making moral decisions about abortion because X, Y, and Z might happen. There might be some kind of attack. There might be some kind of X, Y, and Z. Making moral judgments when it comes to having a baby. That's not how that should work at all. At all. This right here, King Shaka, that doesn't bother me, not one bit. Not one bit. Not one bit. Believe that. Not one bit. So you stating those statistics in the chat means nothing to me.
When queried about what was the cause of her missed abortion, it turned out that she had been given.
You sound wild as hell, Stephen. You sound wild and unhinged yourself. That's wild. y'all so triggered. You sound crazy as hell. You sound triggered as hell.
Abortion pills by her teacher, who gave them to her in Skip Town. presumably to do the same thing to another one of his students. And abusers have been known to force abortion pills down women's throats, put them in their drinks, and
Yeah, but those are rare occasions in which people force abortion pills down people's throat. That's very rare. And you're looking at that particular job or that particular employment. Obviously, they would have abortion pills in that particular scenario. But normal, everyday women are not getting abortion pills forced down their throat. I don't even know why y'all would even bring that up. Okay. Yep, as many abortions as they want, sir. Clay Langley, as many abortions as they want. As many as you want, seeing as how it's your body. As long as it's your body, I don't make a judgment as to what and how you do it. It's your body.
insert them into their bodies. Mifepristone and misoprostol mifepristone is not safer than Tylenol and should not be made available over the counter. Tylenol is an over-the-counter medication. It does not have a black box warning. Most problems with Tylenol are associated with accidental or deliberate overdose. Mifepristone side effects are associated with routine prescribed use. Elective abortion is intentional feticide. It is not the same as care for an ectopic pregnancy, which is treatment to save a mother's life. It is not the same as care for an in utero demise where the fetus is already demised, and it is not the same as care for miscarriage. Abortion in African-American women is a pervasive problem. There's a remarkable racial disparity in abortion rates between African-American and European women in many states. In particular, in some states, approximately the rates are 3 to 5 times of abortion in Black women compared with white women. The practice of standard telemedicine is highly regulated, and therefore the prescribing of abortifacient drugs virtually should not be legitimized by calling it telemedicine. This is more properly called remote abortion. In these cases, a woman cannot have her pregnancy accurately dated. The woman cannot be assessed medically. No, sorry. I would like to conclude by stating that our concern is for the
I wonder if it's who are these men that are in the chat talking about women having abortions. You have no control over whether a woman has an abortion or not. So therefore, you shouldn't have any conversation on women having abortions. If women talk or women speak about abortions, fine. But I don't listen to men because you have no say in abortion unless you're married to the woman, because you donate your sperm. You donate your sperm. When you have sex with a woman, you donate your sperm to the woman, and then the woman has control over your sperm. So I don't listen to men when it comes to an abortion tag. Absolutely not.
woman, and access to any medical intervention should never come at the expense of safety. Authorities should continue to help decrease chemical abortion's harms to women, including through strengthening the realms and enforcement. No, this is one thing I am definitely not. This is definitely one thing I am never not ever at. Enforcement of existing regulations such as the Comstock Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rubenhorst, and Senator Sanders will now introduce his witness.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Dr. Nisha Verma, who is an obstetrician and gynecologist and a fellow with Physicians for Reproductive Health. Dr. Verma practices in both Massachusetts and Georgia and has conducted research on the impacts of abortion restrictions on women with high-risk pregnancies. Dr. Verma, thanks very much for being with us today.
Good morning, Chair Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, and distinguished members of the Senate Help Committee. My name is Dr. Nisha Verma, and I am a double board-certified, fellowship-trained obstetrician and gynecologist and fellow with Physicians for Reproductive Health. I provide full-spectrum care in Georgia and Massachusetts. That means that I provide everything from pap smears and cancer screenings to delivering babies to supporting people postpartum, to providing contraception, abortion, and miscarriage care. As a doctor, I know that abortion care can be complicated for many people. I sit with that complaint.
How many men are in the chat? Is this men that's talking goofy in the chat? Is this men who have no say whatsoever about a woman having an abortion or not? Is this men in the chat or is this women? Because I'd like to know. Because you're just speaking to the wind when you talk about abortion because you have no say over it.
Complexity every day, as do so many of my patients and their families. Holding space for complexity is important.
I don't care about a man having a baby, Brian Cantrell. I don't care about that. Only you goofy MAGA people care about trans men. Only goofy MAGA people care about trans men. Nobody cares about that when a white lady gets shot in the face in Minnesota. Nobody cares about trans. So why bring it up? Nobody cares about trans. So why even bring it up?
But discomfort with abortion can't be used as an excuse to distort facts. So let's talk about.
Okay, this is the okay. Only in practical terms, of course. But I can just go and do whatever I want. So you really don't have a choice. If I don't tell you, you really don't have a choice. So
about the facts. The fact is, the science on mifepristone's safety and effectiveness is long-standing and settled. Over the past 25 years, medication abortion using mifepristone and misoprostol has been rigorously studied and proven safe and effective in over 100 high-quality peer-reviewed studies. Extensive data show that medication abortion through telehealth is equally safe and effective and provides vital access for those who live in rural areas and in the growing number of maternity care deserts in the country. Medication abortion is now the most common method of abortion care in the United States, used by more than 7.5 million people since its FDA approval in 2000. The small number of studies that contradict this track record of safety are deeply flawed. In fact, 2 of the less than 10 have been retracted. When we look to the full body of high-quality evidence, it is clear that the safety and effectiveness of mifepristone and misoprostol is not a matter of opinion or debate. It is the clear consensus of the evidence-based medical community, both here in the United States and globally. Leading professional organizations, including the American College of OBGYNs and American Medical Association, affirm this fact, as does the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Globally, the World Health Organization classifies mifepristone and misoprostol as essential medications, among the safest and most effective treatments that should always be available. In my practice, I regularly prescribe mifepristone and misoprostol because I know they are safe and allow my patients to access the highest quality care. When I prescribe these medications, I counsel my patients, ensure they understand their options, review potential side effects and risks, just as I would with any treatment, and support them in making the decisions that are right for them. Miscarriages occur in 10 to 26% of all pregnancies, and I often care for women and families experiencing the loss of a highly desired pregnancy who wish to treat their miscarriage with medication. For these patients, mifepristone, along with misoprostol, speeds up the process, reduces pain, and decreases the need for additional treatments. Knowing that mifepristone and misoprostol are safe and effective for miscarriage management, I took these medications myself a few months ago after my husband and I experienced a devastating pregnancy loss. Luckily, in Massachusetts, we were able to obtain these medications from our local pharmacy and complete this very emotionally difficult process safely, privately, and at home. Unfortunately, for many people, unnecessary restrictions on mifepristone make this evidence-based care unavailable and force them to undergo additional hardship during already heartbreaking experiences. Mifepristone and misoprostol are safe. However, my patients do face many real, well-documented threats to their health, well-being, and lives. My patients are at risk because of restrictions on abortion care and cuts to Medicaid. They are at risk because of decreased funding to clinics that provide preventive care and cancer screenings, and fears about whether they can safely go to the hospital based on their immigration status. and they are at risk because of the ever-increasing crisis of maternal mortality, widespread misinformation about vaccines, and disregard of science and evidence. As a doctor, I have the immense privilege of sitting with patients and their families and learning about their lives. My patients remind me every day that abortion care, pregnancy, and medicine are not isolated political issues, and I chose to be here in this room today, as challenging as it might be for them, to honor them. I hope moving forward, this committee will focus on addressing the many real documented dangers patients face rather than restricting access to safe, evidence-based care. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to your questions.
Yeah, those were the opening arguments for being able to have abortion pills or not. And they're trying to ban that. And I don't see why it's just another keg in the wheel of why this administration needs to be addressed. And this administration needs to be overturned. Just another cog in the wheel. Okay? They've already done enough damage. Let the people speak. And the people will speak come November. The people will speak. Because we've been around the block with this administration, and it's just too much. And I get it. There's people, and it was a small portion of people that voted for him, but it wasn't the majority of the Americans. And the majority of the Americans overwhelmingly have said, we're sick and tired. We're just sick and tired. Okay? We're just sick and tired. People just sick and tired. There's nothing that we can do to change the inevitable rolling of down the hill that is going on with this presidency. The president called for an insurrection against the people. The president called for an insurrection against the people after they shot a white lady in the face. After they shot a white lady in the face. Now they want us to listen to the scenario that they want to put forward, even though that scenario is a lie. The scenario and the story is a lie, and the person should go to jail, or the person should be tried. Okay? And this is all people are saying. We want this person held accountable. Don't lie about what this person did. We want this person to be held accountable. But this is the America that we're in. Everybody's down the rabbit hole. Everybody has a problem. I get it. But who knows what else is coming down the pike with whatever this president is going to do. If this president decides to invade Greenland, we are in trouble. We are in even more trouble. If this president decides that he is going to go into another country, we are in trouble. And I feel for people who did not understand what they were voting for. Okay? What they were voting for. But they got their opportunity. They got the opportunity to implement the things that they wanted to implement. And most people can't stand what they've been implementing. So we can't vote our way out of this. Hopefully it's an impeachment, but we can't say that. We can't say that. So now they're having hearings on everything. They're having hearings on everything now. That includes trying to ban the abortion pills. Yes, people voted for the illegal aliens to get out, but they didn't vote for people getting shot in the face. They didn't vote for ICE to be roaming the neighborhoods. They didn't vote for ICE to be throwing people on the ground, hitting people, kicking people, sending people to CCOT. We didn't vote for that. That's the thing. You didn't vote for that. And that's what y'all don't get. There's a hell of a difference between what you voted for and what we got. Okay. And now we got way too much going on. Way too much going on. Okay. Yeah, I know you did. You say you did, but you thought he was going to do it to black people. You thought you was going to do it to black people. You thought the black people were going to get, the brown people were going to get screwed over. I got you. I got you, Flowers. You thought the brown people were going to get screwed over. The brown and the black people. Unfortunately, it's the white folks that are going to pay the price for this Donald Trump being the president. As for what you wish for, the monkey's finger is going to curl, and it's been curling. All the consequences, all the results have been bad for white folks. All of the consequences that Donald Trump has laid to your feet have been bad for the white people. No, I don't recall anything racist that I said. But please hit the like, share, and subscribe. We have content like this every day. We'll probably be back later on. There might be something else that might be happening. Who knows? We always have something new. We always have something else going on. Please like, share, and subscribe. We definitely will be back. We just wanted to get the early news